Hello and welcome to Self Mastery Program. This is Module 11, Becoming. Our session plan for this module, as always, starts with a quick review of the last one to allow you to consolidate your learning. We then move on to look at what is meant by becoming, and then look at how the idea of intelligence has developed over the years and where it's heading. To bring all your learning together, we will do a meditation to enable you to focus on what, if anything, you want to change going forward and what it means to live with intention. As always, we will finish with a summary and look at what you want to put on your planner for your study for this module. Turn to worksheet 43 in your workbook and be ready to make your own notes. How are your 3 core activities progressing? By now, they should be coming quite automatic for you. What thoughts have you had about the healing module? Have you tried out the non-violent communication process? How did you get on? What, if anything, do you want to change going forward for this module? Make your notes and then continue with the video. So what is becoming? The dictionary definition just says suitable or appropriate, which is not what I mean. I did wonder at the title myself, but that's what my intuition gave me, so I sat with it. I was immediately taken to Michelle Obama's book of the same name, which told her story of change from being a poor child to a Princeton-educated lawyer and her struggles to achieve that. She worked for a top company in her field, but left to take a lesser-paying job which had more meaning and which enabled her to help others. The journey continued with her husband's career and the changes she had to make, becoming the First Lady. So yes, I think becoming is the right title for this module. I want you to look at your life to date, the journey that's brought you to this point. In the last module, we talked about your old story and whether you wanted to be defined by it for the rest of your life, or whether you wanted to change and rewrite a new story. This is where I'm going with becoming. You've got to this point, but now there's a fork in the road. Which way will you go? Do you want to make changes? Who do you want to become? Let me put in perspective what I'm saying by looking at becoming in a whole different way. It's about the shifts in the way that we have progressed as human beings and how the external world of thinking changes over time. In a way, it's all about becoming. It's evolution. If you don't change, you stand still and you get left behind. Most people are familiar with the term IQ as being a way of assessing your intelligence. The sort of tests devised to test intelligence were very much about the left brain thinking, that part of the brain responsible for analytical thinking and logic. At one time, this was the focus for everything. Having that type of intelligence, that's how we were judged. Then in the mid-1990s, Daniel Goleman, amongst others, popularized research from many neuroscientists and psychologists, showing that emotional intelligence is of equal importance. Emotional intelligence was more right brain thinking and looked at empathy, compassion, motivation, and how we respond appropriately to pleasure or pain. You'll have seen over the years more and more talk about emotional intelligence and its features in many training programs in companies, where they want employees to demonstrate these types of skills and competencies. At the turn of the century, there was further consideration because IQ and EQ did not tell the whole story about intelligence. There was something missing. Spiritual intelligence is more about whole brain processing, placing our actions into a wider context and assigning meaning to things. Human beings ask the big questions. Who am I? Why am I here? Where do I go when I die? We are creative, discriminating. We have a moral sense. We can temper rules with compassion and understand their limits. We assign meaning. We're aware of possibilities, dreams, aspirations. Spiritual intelligence transforms us. This was the missing piece from the model. IQ and EQ just didn't give the whole picture. Remember back to Module 3 on energy, spiritual energy, that life force within us, and also in the modules on identity, intuition, and presence. There is a part of us that just knows things, that can tap into a field of infinite potential and find answers. That's part of our spiritual intelligence. Spiritual intelligence has nothing to do with religion and more to do with the rules of the universe, the field, and nature. Spiritual intelligence is the soul's intelligence, that part which can heal ourselves, make ourselves whole, and become deeply connected with everything else in the universe. We are connected to wisdom beyond our ego and conscious mind. So with what you've been learning, you've been gathering both EQ and SQ. And as you go forward with your life, both of these will be important to you in whatever way you decide to change, whoever you want to become. Here are some indicators that show whether you've developed spiritual intelligence, but there are many more. How many of them apply to you? I just want to take a few of the points on the list. If you've been doing the exercises and the core activities, you'll have started to become more self-aware because you've focused on what you're doing, what you're thinking, what you're feeling. You've used your intuition and you are becoming aware of your connection with all things. Looking at the blocks you wanted to clear and relationships you wanted to heal has enabled you to face the pain that you're in, which maybe you'd been hiding from or ignoring. And by facing the pain and making changes, using some of the techniques you've learned, I hope that you've started to transform that pain. In putting your values together, you were looking at what was important to you. You may have decided that some of your values needed to change. You may have added new ones in as an aspirational value. Values are there to inspire and motivate us. In looking at your way forward, don't forget your values play an important part. I hope that you're learning to be more curious, to question things and not just accept what you're told. Doing your own research, testing things out, reflecting on what you find, all help you to see connections, as well as developing discernment. Remember, this is a journey. You may have just stepped on the path and have a long way to go, or you may have made inroads already. During the process of this self-mastery program, have you started to question more in general? You may be questioning why you do what you do, or why others respond in certain ways. And hopefully some of the models and concepts that have been shared have started to give you another way to look at things. Did you grasp the importance of the soul, that internal part of you, and the whole purpose of this program? To master the personality self, to get a handle on your physical, mental, and emotional self, so that you can hear the soul more clearly. You've had the opportunity to start clearing the blocks, healing old wounds, looking at yourself differently, seeing what drives yourself, what holds you back, looking at strategies to change habits and rewire the neural pathways in your brain. I want to take some time out at this point for us to have a guided meditation on the whole program, to see where you've come from since the start and where you are headed. What are you becoming? I will stop several times during the meditation to give you time to listen to your intuitions and what arises within you. And I make no apologies for the fact that I'm repeating myself several times. This is about consolidating your learning. Have worksheet 44 open and ready at the end of the meditation, and then settle down into a comfortable seating position and make sure you won't be disturbed. As we start, take 3 deep breaths, and as you exhale, feel the tension leave your body as you become more relaxed. Now return to your normal breathing pattern and just become aware of yourself in your chair. Notice what parts of your body touch the chair. Make any minor adjustments so that you can fully relax. And then just breathe for a few moments and take your intentions inside. In your mind's eye, I want to take you back to the very start of doing this program. Remember what attracted you to it. What did you hope to gain? As I take you back through some of the program, just notice which parts took your interest the most. We started with the idea of rewiring your brain, making changes on the inside as well as the outside. You became aware that change would be difficult in the beginning because of the current neural networks you'd formed over your lifetime, which are so well entrenched that most of your life is on automatic pilot. So at the very beginning, an intention was set to start to free yourself from habits that no longer serve you, making changes for a more positive self, all of which would take time and practice. Visualize once more the neural pathways in the brain. See the old networks starting to weaken and soften and break apart as you've made stronger connections with different thought patterns, new habits, the things you decided to change and which you are working on. At the heart of your deepest self, you know that the more you practice, the more you will form new, stronger networks for positive aspects in your life. And the more you change, the more you will become confident, strong, centered, grounded in your everyday life. You are becoming more resilient. Your core practices of journaling, meditating, and reflecting helped you to turn inwards and connect with that part of you that is eternal, the soul. You have meditated in different ways. The deep, slow practice of Yoga Nidra, the heart-brain coherence, aligning your head and your heart, the loving kindness meditation, learning to build feelings of love within the body, for yourself, for those that you love, those that you feel neutral towards, those that you have difficulty with. What other meditation practices come to your mind now? Let them emerge. You may well have chosen some of your own. Your morning journaling allowed your subconscious mind to bring up dreams and anything else that it wanted you to become aware of. Your reflections at the end of the day allowed you to turn inwards once more and review your day, drawing learning and understanding that you might otherwise have missed. Your 3 core practices, slowly building your ability to turn inwards, to connect, to be calmer, less stressed, all part of building resilience for the future. You became aware that energy flowed where your awareness went. Remember the Yoga Nidra meditation, where you move the energy around different parts of your body. Energy is our life force, our spirit, that part of us that is eternal, the soul. So many words for the same thing. This is what we are, pure energy, part of the universal field of energy. We are spirit in matter. So we've taken the form for this lifetime, and we're here to experience, to learn, and at some point on our journey, to remember who we truly are. You looked at some of the things which were holding you back as we looked at clearing blocks, and tackled these by looking at them from different perspectives, tapping into your unconscious. The themes of identity brought us back to the spiritual identity, our true selves, and slowly we started to connect with our intuition, our inner knowing, that which is available to us all the time when we remember to tune in and be present. We made connections with different parts of the course and saw the patterns like pieces of jigsaw fitting together to form a picture. What was the picture showing to you? We looked at how the mind and body are so connected, and how our thoughts and feelings are connected to our health and well-being. We were reminded that we're making neural connections all the time. Our habits can wire us, and our habits can unwire us. We've come full circle. We became aware of our story, the one that we tell ourselves and others about why we are like we are, why we can't change. That's just the way it is. But you know differently now. You know that you have a choice. Do you want to leave that story behind? Do you want to write a new story? Who do you want to become? What is the vision for you in the coming months and years? Where do you want to be? What do you want to feel? What do you want to be thinking? Who do you want to be around? I'm going to leave you with these questions for a few minutes so that you can start the process of letting your story unfold. See what comes up for you. Just let it arise. Don't think it. Just let it come. And now it's time to slowly and gently bring your awareness back to the breath. And when you are ready, open your eyes. Before you do anything else, write down what came to you during the meditation on worksheet 44. There are 2 pages for you. This is the key focus for this module, so don't rush. After putting down your notes, you may want to listen to the rest of the video and then come back to it again. We are constantly changing throughout our lives as we go from child to teenager to adult. We get lost in our lives of work and responsibilities and end up on automatic pilot. I hope that this program has shown you that you have a chance to stop, to take stock, and decide how you want to be in the future, how you want to become. You have the choice to change or not. How would it feel to live your life with intention, to decide on your new story, who you want to become, and then start working towards it now? You've had a go at drafting your new story. It may take further meditation and reflection to get it where you really want it to be, but you have made a start. Just one word of advice. Be clear about what it is you want, and then you can align your values and beliefs and the way that you think and act to match what you want. Otherwise, you will be sending out mixed messages to the universal field that we live in, and you won't make the progress that you're wanting to do. Remember, everything is connected to everything else, and that our thoughts are vibrations going into the field. What you attract back is a good indicator of where your thoughts are. Lining up the actions behind your new story with a deliberate intention is what I'm talking about. You are more aware now that you can change your way of thinking. That can change the way you feel, and that results in a change of behaviour. As you change the way that you are, others will notice and respond to you differently. Some positively, some negatively, and some may drop out of your life, either because you want them to, or because they want you to stay stuck where you are, so they feel comfortable. That's all very natural. When we change our minds, we change our world. Not everyone will like it. They may not be on the same page. This feels hard at first, but let me say this. The books you read, the things that you watch, the people you associate with, all have an effect on your values and beliefs, and ultimately your internal model of the world. All that affects how and what you will become. If you don't like what you're reading, watching, or talking with others, then change it. I know it's easy to say and hard to do when you first start. If you genuinely want to change, then persevere. If you aren't ready to change, then leave it until you are. You have a map within this program. If you're a woman, you probably have had some early conditioning about pleasing others and putting yourself second. This gets reinforced as you have children of your own, and your life changes to becoming the supporter and nurturer of the next generation, a very important role. None of this conditioning is easy to overcome as you get older. It happens for men as well. They may well have been taught to be strong. Boys don't cry, keep your feelings to yourself. In today's world, we can see that starting to change as mental health issues are now brought to the fore. It's perfectly normal to feel what you feel. But don't ever forget that if repetitive thoughts and feelings are causing you pain and suffering, you have the choice to change them. And with practice, that can happen. Awareness was the first step. You create your own life. What do you want yours to be like? So go back to the story you started to write on worksheet 44 and read it again. Refine it until you're crystal clear what you want. Also, look back to worksheet 17 in module 5, where we did an early exercise on my dream life. Do you remember doing this? Has anything changed for you since then? Or is it still the same? You may want to meditate and reflect upon this. Take your time. Only when you have your story in good shape, go to worksheet 45 and answer the following questions. In order to get started with your new story, ask yourself, what do I need to stop doing? What do I need to start doing? What do I need to continue doing? What other actions do I need to take? What one thing could I start now? And finally, how will I ensure I keep on track? That last question is so important. Writing your intentions is the first part. Living them is the process that follows. Find a way to keep yourself on track. So we started this module talking about what becoming was. It's about transforming your life for the future and how what we do today affects who we become tomorrow. This isn't just an exercise, it's a way of being. We looked at how the world has moved on from just talking about intelligence as IQ and how emotional intelligence has swept through our daily lives in recent years. But the missing piece of spiritual intelligence has only been recognised as important for the past 20 years. Whilst it's still in its infancy compared with IQ and EQ, those that know recognise the importance and have started to include it in their lives. We meditated on the whole programme, and then you spent some time looking at your new story and making a first draft. And finally, we looked at your new story with some questions around it that would help you to get started. Living with intention means using all our intelligences and remembering that we are connected to everything else. What you attract toward you is a product of what you are thinking, feeling, and doing. We are all sending out our vibrations into the universal field of consciousness, of which we are just one part, every single second. Make yours the way you want it to be. Attract to you that which will help your new story. I've used these processes myself and have changed my life on several occasions in the past. Something within me told me it was time to move on, to change, to progress, to push myself further. I'm doing it again now. It never stops. This process of becoming isn't a one-off event. It's continual. If we don't change, we stagnate or fall backwards. Becoming is dynamic, ever-changing. Grow into your new way of being, and when the time is right, move on again. So as you enter the last stage of the program, continue with your 3 core practices. Choose how you want to meditate this module. Our next module will wrap things up for the program, and I'll be making some suggestions on books and other resources you may find useful. But to wrap up this module, focus on your new story. Namaste.